shortest body chasing the truth.
So Katt Williams talks about his childhood with Shannon Sharpe. It seems to me that all these other comedians stole his life story and try to make it their story. So let's let Katt talk. We'll go over the video.
You're born in Cincinnati, Ohio, raised in Dayton, Ohio. What was Katt Williams' upbringing like? Your parents were Jehovah's Witness. You were a prodigy. You were brilliant. You talked to me that you got accepted to college at 7 years of age. You could read fluently at 3 years of age. So having that kind of knowledge, having that kind of prodigy, what was your upbringing? How was it? How was life as Katt Williams Crunk coming up?
I was often confused because I knew things and I wasn't sure how I knew them. I knew things that I felt like I don't have a reason that I know this, but I love to read. I was voracious because they told me when I was young that knowledge was powerful. That knowledge was power, and I had studied powerful people, and I really believed that. I immediately, my next project was to read the whole encyclopedia set. So when you're like 6, 7 years old, you read the whole encyclopedia set, you think you're one of the smartest people in the world, right, only to get out in the world and find out you don't know anything, you know? So it was a confusing time, but yeah, I had a childhood. I was grown, but I at 5 years old, I was in front of 5,000 to 10,000 people giving a performance with a full suit and tie on. You know what I mean? So yeah. It came full circle. For my life, I knew that the applause and the giving of information and laughs and truth to people somehow benefited them and also benefited you. And yeah, so when they would ask me what I wanted to be, everything that I would say that I wanted to be was something that didn't exist. And they would never give me credit for it because I needed to say a doctor or a lawyer, but that's not what I wanted to be.
So your parents weren't as supportive as you would have hoped because you were wanting to be things when you got older that they had no knowledge of, or it didn't exist at the time?
No, it wasn't that. It was, I'm saying I'm almost 100 years old right now, but if we go outside right now, I can run a 4.340 or sub. I can do a 4.16 if I'm.
Oh, there's Jimmy John's across the street. We can order a sub.
But
oh, you been on the submarine? That what you sub?
So back then it was even greater. So you got this guy that all the coaches want to play.
Man, Katt, don't do that.
Hold on, because I'm 5'5" in the 5th grade. I've been this high my whole life. Like, there was a portion of school where I was one of the big dudes. Like, as soon as everybody caught their growth spurt, I was out of there. But I'm saying I was a competitive individual. My father was an athlete.
I can see that.
Like, no, I've been 145 pounds my whole career. That's why I never bothered when they said, your Katt's on drugs. I knew, how you gonna prove that? My body is a temple.
I've been the same size since I was 10.
Like, what do you? Yeah, like I haven't changed off this pivot foot. This has always been who I was before stand up or anything. But it was an interesting childhood. I appreciate my parents, even though I couldn't live within the religious frameworks of what they had set up. But that was more not wanting to live a double life and not want to embarrass my family. You know what I mean? Because
I read where a form of punishment for you is that they would take books because you mentioned you were such a voracious reader. And a form of punishment was when they would take the books for because you could read fluently. You told me how at like 3 or 4 years old you could read, not just a little child's book, but you could read.
Well, I'm saying when we go to Haiti to do missionary work, understand that my mother and my father, nobody that's there with us speaks French, and I mean, it speaks Creole and reads French. So I'm in charge of everything, from the housing to the cars to the gardener. Like I'm saying, so I'm not just reading. I'm reading in multiple languages. Like
How old are you?
I'm probably reading 3,000 books a year, from the time that I'm 8 years old to the time that I'm 12. No fiction books at all. I'm only reading nonfiction.
You could drive. At 12, you received a full scholarship to the National Science Academy in Dayton, Ohio, but you failed, so you would become ineligible. Why did you want to take that?
A full scholarship at 12 years old. So you're dealing with a genius. You know, everybody just dismisses him for whatever the reasons, you know. But I've seen a lot of people like Katt who are fully conscious. So they're aware of everything around them. They're aware of everything that's going on. And they're super, super intelligent. And sometimes it could drive them, I don't want to say crazy, but they come across to other people as crazy because they're so conscious of everything that's going on around them.
That opportunity.
I didn't see it as an opportunity. When I got in there, all the students were wearing lab coats, and it seemed very confined and restricted, and nobody seemed like they were having fun. It just seemed like everybody was smart. I didn't want that. That wasn't what I was signing up for at all. And plus, I thought that Jesus was my big homie. So you know how you get a story about a dude joined the gang and you get a big homie, right? Like at this particular point in my life, my thought is that the Bible is the greatest book that's ever been written.
Okay.
That it houses the truth, and that it gives you this story of Jesus, and that I'm supposed to be.
This is why I feel like, from an industry point of view, that they've done everything in their power to suppress him. Because when Katt Williams talks about the Bible, talks about Jesus, it's very relatable to everybody. It doesn't turn people off. You know, he goes over his failures. He goes over some of his insecurities. He talks about a lot of different things. He doesn't try to come across like, I'm up here and you're down here. And a lot of people do that believe in Jesus, believe in God, and it turns people off. And the powers that be understand this. The powers that be understand that he's very relatable. So in my eyes, they try to suppress him. They don't want people to come to God. They don't want people to come to Jesus. They want people to be on drugs, and he's against all of that.
Be like him.
Okay. So
it's already in my head that as soon as I get 13, I'm leaving.
You at 13, you not only like, okay, Mom, I'm moving out. You moved from Ohio to Florida on your own.
This guy.
You weren't afraid. I mean, you like, did you?
Hold on.
Did you not have a? So what were you gonna do when you got to Florida?
Don't say I wasn't afraid. There's no such thing as a human being of not being afraid.
Okay.
There are certain human beings that understand that being afraid in no way stops you from doing what you got to do.
Okay.
So I was afraid, but I couldn't be that afraid because I knew what had happened with Jesus. I knew how it worked out. I knew that I wasn't in the wrong with how I was feeling, and I knew that I didn't have any bad intentions in it.
Right.
So I trusted God that it would work out.
Why Florida?
Because if you're raised in Ohio, the one thing on your list is, I'm gonna get away from snow, and I'm gonna get as far. I want to go. Tell me the place. I literally went to a truck stop and I asked all the truck drivers where they was going, and there was one guy going to California, and there was one guy going to Florida, and they told me how long it was gonna take, and so that's why I ended up in Miami, because.
How'd you get there? You caught a bus? Or...
No, I just told you. I was at the truck stop.
So you hitchhiked?
I didn't hitchhike. I got in the back of the dude's 18-wheeler, me and my Rottweiler puppy and my suitcase. Yeah, because
the way he tells the story and the way his personality, I can see this vividly, what went on this day. These men in the rest stop, the truck drivers, they must have been shocked. Like, here's this young person with his suitcase and his Rottweiler acting like a grown person with superior wisdom. I love the part about, wanting to get far away from snow. So he just narrowed it down to California, Florida, and whatever was closest, that's where he went. He forgot the palm trees, though.
I probably had $2,500 on me, like I was shoveling snow and cutting grass. Like, I always had pockets full of money.
When did you make the decision that you were going to leave Ohio and go somewhere? And it ended up being Florida. But when did you know that you were leaving Dayton, Ohio, going to Florida?
In my father and I's last interaction, somebody could have not made it. And we both understood that was all bad.
What was the disagreement about?
If you say that my family is very religious, just say I'm not. So anything that I'm going to do is going to fall out of the guidelines.
Right.
But I'm not going to let you tell me what I'm going to be, especially if what you're saying is wrong. I can't condone wrong. And if I find out that something is wrong and I tell you it's wrong and you don't back me, that's what it is.
Even as a young child, you were willing to tell your parents that some of the things that you're saying doesn't coincide with what I've been reading in the Bible?
No.
What I think he's referring to here, Katt, and he doesn't really say it, this is just my opinion, I could be totally wrong. His parents are Jehovah's Witnesses. Jehovah's Witnesses don't celebrate birthdays. They don't let their kids play in sports. They don't let their kids sing, act, dance, nothing. They don't really let them use their God-given talents. And I think that Katt was clashing with his parents over this because, obviously he's very artistic. And nowhere in the Bible does it say that. Nowhere in the Bible does it. God gives you those talents for a reason, and God wants you to plant that seed and bring those talents. It's up to you to hone your craft and get the most out of that seed. And I think that's what the issue was with Katt. And just one more quick story. I grew up with a kid. I don't want to mention his name because I'm pretty sure he's famous. But he was best friends with Bill Bellamy at the time. And they were about 10 or 11 years older than me. I was a small kid. And I was always in the basketball courts playing and stuff. And he was Jehovah's Witness. And he was amazing. Allen Iverson / Odell Beckham, slamming back. He was just amazing. His athleticism was off the charts. This was a professional athlete. And he liked music. I remember him just singing out loud, and everything he did was just amazing. But his parents wouldn't let him participate in anything. And he didn't really speak on it too much, but I've checked into his past a little bit, and I'm pretty sure at this point he's famous, so I'm sure he went through some of the things that Katt went through.
No, very simply, don't try to disfellowship me for sexual acts and I'm a virgin. Sorry, God don't make mistakes. You don't get 2 times to fuck me over. What do you mean you went to God and he told you I was guilty? You just lied on God. So long. That's it. There's no conversation. Deuces. That's what it was.
That's when you made the decision. After that conversation right there, you say, "Nah, I can't live under this roof."
It wasn't a conversation. It was an altercation. In the altercation, I love my father. My father loved me. But we are 2 men at it. It'll never be the same again. You can't sleep comfortably around me. And I can't sleep comfortably around you.
How similar are you to your father?
I don't know. He's a great man. I'm saying
because it seems like y'all butted heads.
Right, but I'm saying that generally happens with a father-son dynamic. It was just that religious relationships are always difficult in families.
Not that Katt's a kid, but I really respect him for saying that, because today's crybabies, everybody wants to have a come-up story, and they just smash their parents down. Oh, my dad, he hit me, or my dad said I'm a P, or, told me I was whatever the word the kid got called, and they cry, and then they blame their parents for not being successful. I'm really glad. It just shows Katt's true character. So I'm happy to hear that. Somebody acting like a man finally for once compared to today's clowns.
They always are.
Before it got to the point, because the dynamic, he's father, your son. Before that dynamic and you step up on his level and you challenge him, you felt it was best for you to leave.
No. I'm not being challenged. I'm being beat to death.
Oh, he was abusive.
I didn't say that. I said we were in an altercation.
I see what you did there. I saw what you did there, Katt.
Yeah.
I saw what you did. You was in an altercation. You didn't.
Come on, Shannon. He's a man. He ain't gonna throw his dad under the bus like all these punks out here running around claiming to be a man. Come on now. Just go to the next topic.
Say you lost. You say you was in an altercation.
I in no way gave you the impression that I won anything. I'm the one leaving. I'm out of bounds. This his house.
Right.
Yeah. So as long as I'm going to be under his roof, there are certain things that I'm going to have to do.
Right.
And the only way that's going to change is either this or that. And I'm saying I had 2 younger brothers. Like, I'm not an unreasonable person. Like, I don't have any mental issues whatsoever, despite what they lead people to believe. I make pretty good decisions.
Were you not... So how was their relationship with your father? Were you not afraid to leave them?
Well, I asked because it went all the way to the actual department, so it was actually going to be something. And when I asked them if they could just make sure that my brothers didn't get separated and what have you, they said they couldn't make those type of guarantees, that they weren't really sure what would happen if this went down. And so part of leaving was the hope that it would be okay for them, because none of them experienced what I experienced. I'm saying I'm the oldest. It's a lot riding on me. I'm supposed to at least religiously hold down the family's name at this household.
Right.
You know what I mean?
How much older are you than the baby?
Katt's God-given abilities caused all this. His desire to be artistic caused all this, and Jehovah's Witnesses don't want their children to participate in anything. That's not the Bible. Nowhere in the Bible does it say that you can't use the gifts that God gives you. So I know what all that friction was about. I don't know the detail, but I have a very good idea what that friction was about.
Baby and the knee baby.
Like a lot older. Like if I'm... I
12, 13.
Yeah, they're 5. And in Pampers.
Wow. You go to Florida. You tell the story. I've heard you were homeless. And somebody else told the story, said they were homeless, and you said they hijacked your story. Now, I don't...
At 13, I shouldn't have to tell you I'm homeless. I'm in Miami, Florida. I have no family members in Florida. I couldn't buy a house if I wanted to. I couldn't get an apartment if I wanted to. I don't have a credit history. Like, this is not a stretch for me to say that I'm homeless. I'm living in a park in Coconut Grove. The park still exists to this day. For 8 hours a day, I would get up and go to the lot.
He's talking about Ambrister Park. And Coconut Grove is kind of nice. Obviously, everybody knows. But that park, there's an apartment complex over there where the firefighters do their thing to be trained. That's a real rough area sometimes. So I know exactly where that park is. Katt Williams is gangster. Like, you hear everybody walking around trying to be a tough guy, this and that. This guy is 13 years old, in Miami, on the street, surviving. And not only is he surviving, he's thriving mentally and figuring out what he wants to do and what he wants to become. So when I hear people throw the word gangster around, you got all these idiots, doing whatever. This is some real gangster stuff right here.
Library and study for 8 hours a day to increase my education, and then I would leave out of there and go to the marina and steal car radios and make $2,000 almost daily. Like, I had a routine. This
So
is
you
what
really
I
could have
did.
played that Santa old thief and Santa Claus. You could have played it.
No, the Santa Claus wasn't a thief. The Santa Claus, you can't tell me. I read the script. Ricky Smiley told you he didn't read the script. The Santa Claus was a crackhead. He just had that outfit on. That's what I couldn't have played.
In that marina that he's talking about is a huge parking lot. It's not, back in the day there was no cameras there. It's not like it is now, but it's that space is enormous, the parking lot, and it would. This is not a made up story. All those locations that he's talking about are accurate. I know for a fact because I've been to all of them. I'm very familiar with the area. So,
Okay.
Like I couldn't have played a black guy that got raped in the bathroom.
Right. So at any point in time, did you like, man, I made a mistake, man. I should have stayed my butt in Ohio, man, because this ain't what I signed up for.
I didn't experience anything once I left home that I hadn't signed up for. If anything, it saved my life. Me being homeless for that small period of time allowed me to see all of the people that were in that situation and to see that these were lawyers and doctors and teachers, and that these people were white and black and Asian and Indian. And the only thing that all of these homeless people had in common was they made a bad decision and aligned themselves with drugs. And I interviewed them all. What drug? And guess what, Shannon? Nobody had a great story. Nobody had a great story of what meth had done for them, what crack had done for them, what cocaine had done for them, what heroin had done for them, what speed had done for them. Nobody had them stories. Everybody's story was, I had my life together. And then I decided to do this dumb thing. And I lost my wife, I lost my house, I lost my cars, I lost my reputation, and I'm now out here sucking penis in the woods. What? Talk about scared straight. You ain't got to worry about me. If it ain't weed or nicotine, you won't see me touching it. I don't want no parts. I done seen what these things can do to people. Anything that take over your free will is the devil itself.
Have you ever thought about what your life would have been had you stayed in Dayton, Ohio?
No. That's like asking somebody that's in the NBA for 14 years, like, what would have happened if you didn't come to the NBA? Well, I shudder to think. I thought it was what I was made for. I thought it was what I was built for. Anybody that knows me will tell you that when they first met Katt Williams, when I was Cat in the Hat, and they tell these stories about how he changed his name. Look, the truth of the matter is Disney sued me. Yeah, I was Cat in the Hat. They sent me a cease and desist letter, and I'm not even making $25,000 a year. And the mega company Disney has sent me a cease and desist telling me I can't use any variations of that name. Fine, I'm Katt Williams. That's all that happens. I have been this same product the entire time. They will tell you when they first saw me doing stand-up, I was just like this. This is what I bring. This is my style.
I read that you was raised in Florida. You had some help, some ladies of the night.
No.
That's not true.
No, that whole story doesn't take place in Florida. That story takes place in Oklahoma City.
Okay.
So after I'm in Florida, I then join, I try to join the Marine Corps, and they won't accept me because I'm too young, and I've lied and told them I'm 16 and my family's moving down and I don't have my ID, but it's coming. And so
think about that for a minute. Put yourself as a child, as a kid, as a teenager, 13 years old. And he's dying to go to the Marine Corps and lying about his age. I mean, that's balls. You know what I mean? That's heart and balls. That is some grown man type of stuff that everybody just dismisses. Oh, you try to join the Marine Corps. Think about that. Think.
They let me go to the boot camp, That's not going to work now. Okay, so I've learned that lesson. So then I get this job selling stuff door to door across the country. And so I've been to all 50 states. Again, I'm 14 years old. So I did that while I'm doing that, one of the places I'm at, I'm in Oklahoma, and I've decided I'm going to stay here because of meeting these ladies that you're talking about and that situation. I don't know at the time why that's important in my life or why it's something I should be doing or any of that. But now later on, it certainly helps me in formulating Money Mike for Friday After Next.
Right.
And a pimp named Slickback for the Boondocks.
In San Francisco, you joined the Nation.
I was never in San Francisco. I was in Oakland.
You was in Oakland. Did you join the Nation? Is that?
Yeah, Honorable Minister Farrakhan and I have an extremely close relationship. He refers to me as one of his sons. So, yeah, I spent a particular period of time. Let me explain.
Yes.
Because my particular background was already religious and super strict, right? I didn't find out about other religions by reading about them. I went to their religion. I don't want to learn from Jewish people from outside. I want to be in a synagogue. I don't want to learn about Muslim people from, I want to be in a mosque. I don't want to hear about the Baptist or the Pentecostal. I want to go to their church and see. And so that was the religious discovery that I was on through that period in my life.
Do you consider yourself?
You know, I really believe that the powers that be try to suppress Katt Williams because he's so relatable. You know, he could really help a lot of people with his story, you know, to not take drugs, to try to find some type of God in your life. And the powers that be know that. You know, they know that he's very relatable. They know that he's down to earth. They know that his being, his spirit, that millions and millions of people can really relate to Katt and change their life around. And that's the reason why I truly believe that they try to suppress him, call him crazy, say that he's on drugs, you know, say all these negative things about him because the power and influence that he possesses, and they don't want what's best for people.